Welcome to I Finally Get It, where real people share real life lessons so you can have a real good life. Have you ever thought about hiring an expert coach or consultant? On this episode, we sit down with Dr. Scott Clark, and he'll share why that's probably a good idea. In studio with me, as always, is Dustin Webb, our producer. I'm your host, Jeff Martin, and here's our interview with Dr. Scott Clark. Let's get it. Welcome, Scott Clark. This is Dr. Scott Clark of Clark Integrated Medical Clinics. You have one in Lafayette and one in New Iberia, am I right?
Iberia, that's correct.
That is so great. Well, thank you for coming in, Scott.
Well, thanks for having me, Jeff. Happy to be here. It's always good to sit down and talk with you.
I know. I love sitting down and visiting with you because you're so real. You really take care of people, and we serve people, and that's what I feel like.
That's right.
While we connect. Look, let's get straight to the heart of what we're here for. Tell us about the moment you kind of looked up and said, I finally get it.
I think as a business owner, usually there's several moments throughout your career, but one that really sticks out to me is early on. I had graduated from chiropractic school. I worked as an associate in another office for a couple of years. I went out on my own, thought I was going to light the world on fire. About a year into practice, it wasn't growing at the pace that obviously I was hoping for. And I remember, sitting at my desk, and I had been getting some emails from a chiropractic consultant, from a coach, and I kind of blown them off. They always intrigued me. They kind of resonated with me. But I was looking at our finances. I was thinking, what do I have to lose? So I picked up the phone and I called this guy, and we had a great conversation. I didn't have two nickels to rub together, but he wanted me to come to one of his seminars. And his perspective was, what if you couldn't fail? And so I went all in. I couldn't afford to get myself there, but I brought my wife and my two staff people that I had at the time. So we fly down to Florida. We go to this seminar. And just from a mindset standpoint, we came back and I tripled my practice in that first month.
In the first month?
In the first month.
Holy cow.
So it was a game changer for me. And I realized that you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time.
Yeah.
That it's important in business when you need to make a change to seek out people who have done it already, people that have been there, that have made the mistakes, and it'll end up saving you quite a bit in the long run.
Yeah. See, this is where I hit this pretty early in the show, because that is a light bulb moment. You bring in an expert. If you don't know how to do something, go find somebody that's ahead of the game.
That's right. When the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change, that's when you make a change.
That's when it's got to hurt. It's got to hurt a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
So let's go back to you becoming a chiropractor. Did you always want to be a chiropractor?
My family grew up with chiropractic. I grew up with a family of athletes. My dad played football in college. My brother as well. I did as well. It was something that was kind of in the back of my mind. And I had a friend at LSU. That's what he wanted to do, and he was all fired up about it. I wasn't sure. I thought I was going to be a coach. I had some interest and reached out to some different schools, and then kind of a long story, but after working in sales and as a landman for a few years, I realized that wasn't the path for me. I needed to follow where my heart was leading me, and so it was a great decision.
There's no doubt about it. So at LSU, played football, graduated. Married a gymnast.
Married a gymnast.
And,
yes. She was a better athlete than I was in college, for sure.
I get it. And you end up a landman, and then at some point you say, you know what, I'm going to start over. I'm going to have a do-over here and become a chiropractor. That's fascinating.
Part of what led to that was I got sick. Just kind of all of a sudden diagnosed with Crohn's disease, had surgery. And part of that was seeing this team of medical people, different disciplines working together to try to get me better, along with natural things like chiropractic and nutrition and all of that. And that is really what changed my mindset and really kind of flipped the switch. Hey, life is short. You got to go after it now. There's no reason to wait. My wife Roxanne and I, we had just bought our first house. We both had good jobs, and here we are. We're going to move to Dallas, and we're going to sell it. We're going to sell it all
and start
and bet on ourselves. That's right. And start.
Yeah, that's a bold move though, man, and it's worked out well. One of the things that I find most fascinating about you and your practice is the whole integrated approach. And I have to believe when you were getting treated after your surgery and everything, and you said a multidiscipline kind of technique, is that where the love for integrated medicine?
It is. It is. My wife, Roxana, she's also an occupational therapist. And so we could see the benefit of different disciplines working together on the same patient from very early on. We had many conversations about it. We've always had the mindset of whatever is best for the patient. For some people, that might be chiropractic. For some people, it's not. Some people, they need medical treatment. Some people just need therapy. They just need to exercise a little bit more. Some people need nutritional consults. That was our dream. That was our goal from the beginning. It just took me 10 years to get there.
10 years to do it.
Yeah.
So let's go back to year one. You've been at it on your own for a year. Business wasn't walking in the door every day.
Right.
And you were a little bit nervous. And then, I love the fact, though, that you reached out to someone who has been there before and who can guide you. Has that become one of the things, like you seek out experts along the way when you hit a ceiling or you get stuck?
Definitely. And it's, it's difficult. These things typically aren't cheap.
Yeah.
They require a lot of time and effort as well. You're looking at changing things in your practice that maybe you feel like they're running pretty well, but really you need to pivot. You need to overhaul. So yes, I've done that several times throughout my career. One of them with you, Jeff, which
yeah, I remember that.
But one of the things that we learned with your group was we felt like we had a pretty good culture. You helped us get organized and define that. What are our core values?
Yep.
What do we really stand for? And if as a team, if we all believe in that and we're all living that every day, there to serve our patients, then our patients feel that too, and they feed off of that, and that energy is really where the healing starts.
I love that. Let's go back, because I don't think everybody really understands what your practice is doing, because it's pretty unique. This whole integrated medical clinic approach. So you have chiropractors?
Yes. And so
tell us
sure.
all about the different types of treatment that you can get.
We're kind of a one-stop shop. So anything that you would go to an urgent care for or primary care for, we do that in our office. And so sick visits, wellness visits, physicals, sports physicals. We do a lot of different things. I have a medical doctor on staff as our medical director. I have a nurse practitioner. I have 2 physician assistants, and there's 5 chiropractors.
Wow.
We do a lot of different things. We're very heavy physical medicine side, so we do a lot of joint injections and trigger point injections. We do a little bit of regenerative medicine stuff. We do IV therapy. We do bio-T hormone replacement therapy. We do a lot of chiropractic. We do a lot of rehab. We've really grown quite a bit over the last few years since we've integrated, because we have so much to offer our patients.
Yeah, I love that. What role did experts come into the integration piece of it, or was that the dream early on?
Well, I needed help because it's not something that you see every day, especially in every state is different with their laws and how to structure it and set it up. And I struggled with that for a while. Again, I reached out to a consulting firm. It was a national firm that's what they do. And it was started by a husband and wife. He was a chiropractor. She was a physical therapist, and they had grown practices all over the country. And now they're consulting. And they just helped me really get organized in the beginning, how to structure it, how to work together as a team. What do we need to do? I went from being a chiropractic office to now being a medical clinic. And so we had to start all over with that. It was a separate company. All the providers had to get re-credentialed through this new company. So it took a lot of time, and effort.
Yep.
But in the end, it's been worth it. We've been doing it now since 2016.
Yeah, I know. And I've been watching it and watching you guys grow. You moved into New Iberia and have another location, and all of the services that you provide in Lafayette, you also do in New Iberia?
Yes, that's correct.
That's amazing.
I had 2 chiropractic offices, one in Lafayette, one in New Iberia. And so whenever we integrated both of them. And so whenever I make a change in my office, I got to do it double.
Yeah, you do it twice.
Yes. So yeah, just over time, we were able to get all that together. And anytime you make a change in your business in healthcare, we go by 3 things. Number 1, does it help the patient? Number 2, is it ethical? And then number 3, is it profitable? So we look at those 3 things that kind of guide us when there's all kinds of different things that we could do, and there's quite a bit that we don't, but that's the benchmark for how we decide what we're going to do next and what services we're going to offer. This is something that Roxanne and I had been wanting to do for a long time. And we just found the right group to help us get it started. Yeah. Once I got going, I really didn't have a need for these guys anymore. We were rolling and off to the races, doing our own thing. But man, I don't know if we could have done it without them. We'd still be trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
it saves you so much time.
Going back to experts, it's a leap of faith to make a change, especially a huge change like that. So bringing in an expert probably gave you a little security blanket. I got somebody here with me who can help me get through that. Do you feel like that helped?
Yes, for sure. And you also have to have the right people in your organization. You have to have providers that our mid-levels had never worked with chiropractors before. Our chiropractors had never worked with mid-levels before. You got to step back and eat a little humble pie and realize you got to stay in your lane. As a chiropractor, I'm not recommending any medical treatment, and vice versa. They're not, but there's a way for us to work together. We collaborate on every patient that comes in. We have meetings every morning and go over our schedule, go over all of our new patients, and we come up with the best strategies to help each individual person.
That's huge. That is a huge, from a business patient perspective, right? I love, though, life and business are a series of decisions, and you guys have created a framework to making the best decision for the patient, right? What's right for the patient. I think that's fantastic. The other thing is you said it, your people. Without the right people, you can't integrate and you can't make those changes.
That's
so
right.
You have done a great job. I can tell you this because I've been a patient. You've done a great job from the people perspective.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm sure it's the culture that's I'm just teasing. I'm joking.
It is so important, though. It's not something to be dismissed. It is so important that everybody is thinking the same way and has the same dreams of what they want it to be and what they want their career to look like. And so we're trying to grow this thing together as a team. It's not the Scott Clark show.
No, it's not. And you prove that every day, bringing all these great people in. So what's next? Where are you going next?
We've got some ideas, certainly expansion, trying to maybe gain a little bit bigger footprint because we're unique in what we do. People don't really understand what we do. And so we spend a lot of time trying to educate our patients and certainly the public on what it is that we do and what we offer. It's a foreign concept to a lot of people. So, certainly expansion in the future, I think is something that we would look to do, adding some services, maybe bringing in some higher level services than what we're doing now.
You can never educate enough. And so what you're doing here today, hopefully that helps somebody. And I hope there's a patient out there or a future patient that's listening going, you know what? I think the integrated approach is the best way to go about it because I'm kind of sold.
Yeah. We feel like we have an advantage, in that we do offer a lot of different options for our patients.
Yeah, that's great.
Most people don't like to spend a whole lot of time in the waiting room, much less have to go to multiple facilities to get the services that they could get in our office. And we really do our best to respect people's time. We've all been to the doctor's office before and felt like you needed to send them a bill after, right? So we do our absolute best to try to be as streamlined and as efficient as possible. Yeah, take care of people as quickly as we can. There's no egos. We'll move on. If I can't help somebody, I want them to get better. So if I can send them to somebody else to get better, I'm 100% okay with that. If it happens to be in our office, great. If I need to send them out to somewhere else, then that's fine too. It's a different mindset.
Yeah, but it's all about the patient.
It is.
What's best for the patient.
And I feel like it's the future of healthcare.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
I just do. I really believe that we can do so much more for people by kind of having that attitude about healthcare.
Yep.
And from a wellness, start with a wellness mindset. There's times when everybody needs medication or injections but that doesn't necessarily need to be the starting point. sometimes there's natural things that you can do. Sometimes it's nothing.
Yeah, no,
you know,
yeah,
but
exactly.
first do no harm, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's right. Most of our audience are business owners, entrepreneurs, self-employed. And the one thing I want to make sure they hear is this idea of hiring an expert when you need the help. What would you tell a business owner about going out and hiring an expert when you need one?
first of all, I would say that it's it can be really difficult. It's always stressful. You don't want to make a wrong decision. Like I said, hiring an expert, it costs money. It's a risk that you're taking and your time to invest in something. So you want to make sure that it pays off for you. But it's difficult to know that sometimes. But I truly believe, because I've done it several times, if you take that risk and you go all in, like that first consultant told me, what if you couldn't fail? And if you have that mindset about it, it will save you so much time, money, and effort in the long run. To try to have to reinvent the wheel on things, it's such a slow process. And it's my wife and I that own this clinic. We don't have partners. I've got great people around me that I consult with on our staff as well. But sometimes you need somebody who's been there, who's done that, who can really take you step by step. That's worth it. And every time that I've made that move, it's paid off.
All right, that's a huge.
I'll give you another example, Jeff. So we integrated in 2016, not knowing that the world was going to shut down in 2020, and we really got rolling with our integrated practice in 2018 and 2019, right before all of that happened. During COVID, there wasn't much in the way of chiropractic. We weren't doing therapies. We were basically just keeping people out of the hospital, out of the emergency room if they had back or neck pain or whatever it was. What saved me was having the medical side, being able to see these sick people, being able to treat people, saved my business. And I don't think it's by accident that we were at that point at that moment.
Yeah.
But it was because I took a risk years before that I was set up and able to handle something like that. Yeah.
But you were listening to the signs. You would see the signs, and you were making decisions, and you were making moves. And that's a big thing for business owners, because we tend to figure something out and we go, this is the way it goes, and we just stay there.
Right.
And we don't, even though we may get stuck sometimes, we don't get out and make decisions to move us forward. Right.
We were growing at a tremendous rate and needed a bigger facility. I'm in my third office now in Lafayette, and I'm in my second office in New Iberia. But we had the opportunity last year. We've been in our new office for about a year and a half before interest rates went up. And so I own the buildings where my clinics are, and we were able to get into a 9,000 square foot facility in Lafayette and a 4,000 square foot facility in New Iberia while we could afford it.
Yeah.
Because a couple of interest rate points on something that large makes a huge difference in your cash flow in your business. And so kind of seeing those signs, maybe pushing things a little bit faster than what you're comfortable with at times, because it's the right thing to do.
Another light bulb moment. You're right. So you're practicing in your clinics. You're watching out for the signs. You have a framework to make good decisions. Both for the patient side and your business side, and you're making moves. You're not just sitting back. And when you get stuck, you seek the advice of an expert.
Right.
So you have a ton of lessons to help our listener out.
Yeah. And one thing that I've done recently in the last year is I joined a mastermind group. It's a national group. They have some locally, and they're fantastic. It's probably one of the best things that I've ever done. Yeah. I meet with a group in Atlanta once a quarter, and it's some of the top doctors in the country. And these are chiropractors. Some of them own surgery centers. They're doing all kinds of different things around the country that's successful. And so if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
You're right. You're
and
exactly
so
right.
It's been real eye-opening for me to see what's possible. Sometimes, people have already done things that I hadn't even thought of yet. But I would encourage any business owner to get around people who are go-getters and people who are forward-thinking, and learn from those people. And be vulnerable and open up your life to them so that they can help you.
Yeah,
and they can tell you where you're screwing it up.
If you don't know something, ask somebody, right?
Yeah.
Or because we don't have all the answers, but there's somebody that's a little bit ahead of us.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. Yeah. I want to link all of, your website. I want people to go look at that building. You have that great tour video on there. I'm going to link that in our show notes, but I want you to leave us with one thing. We always ask our guests, when you engage with somebody, how do you leave them different and better just because they encountered you?
That's a great question.
It's tough.
It's a tough question. Since I started in healthcare, and really life in general, it's really just making a connection with somebody. I tell our staff all the time, it's not about us. It's not about us. It's about our patients. I think that goes a long way, even outside of business, that anybody that you come into contact with, you can leave better by being a good listener. By helping someone with no payback. You're not looking for something in return. Just being available to people. I think that's really been the key to our success, to be honest with you. Is that we're not a stuffy office. We're not walking around with dual stethoscopes wrapped around our necks. We're there to make a connection and help people and love them through whatever they're dealing with.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of I Finally Get It. For more information on Dr. Scott Clark and what he's up to now, just visit our show notes at ifinallygetit.com. See you next week when we sit down with the one-of-a-kind Lafayette legend, Fred Reggie, and he shares the moment he finally got it. Make sure to visit ifinallygetit.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever podcasts are streamed so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep learning real-life lessons so you have a real good life.